So, this is the story of how I went on a 10,000-mile road trip from LA to LA all by myself in 65 days, and how I came across cool places such as this alien rock, a fake Parthenon, and a desert full of white sand, and how I tried insanely tasty foods, broke my car a couple of times, and otherwise just met a ton of incredibly kind Americans. Since my channel is still very young and unpopular, this video is sponsored by Mr. Nobody. So if you want to support this channel and to hear the upcoming stories, you can simply subscribe, comment, or like. All of this helps. So I went to LA for grad school, and by the end of the first school year, my lease was about to end. Since I couldn't find myself an internship, the plan was to go back to China for a few months and then come back for the second year. However, my flight home was cancelled a month before my departure due to COVID-19. And it would cost me over $4,000 for another ticket. So eventually, I decided not to go back. Sorry, mom and dad. I then called my cousin who was living in Kansas if I could sleep over for only 2 months. Normally he would say yes, but this time he said no, because his girlfriend just moved in. Don't get me wrong, I was super happy that he was not single anymore, but at the same time, I was a bit concerned about my own situation. No family, no support, no internship, no apartment, no girlfriend. All I got was
me, myself,
and 3 months of vacation. So, like any other guy who really loves driving, traveling, and being alone, I had decided to go on a solo road trip. About 4 months earlier, I bought a 7-year-old Honda CR-V. She was a wonderful car. Pretty, durable, spacious, gentle, reliable, and the list goes on. I can't say enough good things about her. To show how much I love my car, here's a clip of me hand-washing her. The next thing on the list was route planning, and I have to be honest with you, I genuinely dislike plans, especially when I'm traveling. But being on the bottom left corner of the country, I knew I was definitely driving north or east. So this was what I did. I googled the cheapest hostel in US and I got this list. The first one was in Miami, too east, not okay. The second one was in DC, which was also a bit too east, not okay. The third one was a campground, no thank you. And that was how I found this place called Williams AC Hostel. I looked it up right away. It turned out the hostel is in a little town called Williams in northern Arizona. Great name, by the way. Very, very informative. Also, the price back then wasn't $35, it was only $15 a night. And more importantly, Williams' location is wonderful. It's close to Grand Canyon, close to Flagstaff and Sedona. I couldn't be more satisfied with this Google result. However, there was a tiny problem though. According to Google Maps, it would take me almost 7 hours to drive from LA to Williams. As I mentioned earlier, I was road tripping all by myself, and back then, I couldn't drive too many hours a day. That's why I decided to stop at Vegas for the first night. It's only 4 hours drive from LA, and it had been 3 years since my last visit. I'd love to check it out one more time. Okay, with the first 2 stops very carefully planned, I was ready to go. I began my epic road trip on the 8th of June. Said goodbye to my lovely room, returned my keys, and put almost all of my stuff in the car. Cereal, pillow, blankets, sleeping bag, detergent, suitcase, rice cooker was somewhere in the front, and pots and pans. Then I drove my car to the top level of the parking structure and shot this with my drone. It was exciting to be on the road again. I couldn't stop singing and smiling like this. Clearly, I wasn't a great singer, but it was fun. The drive to Vegas went pretty smoothly. I stopped somewhere in the middle for lunch and bathroom breaks. Seriously, the summer wind in Nevada is no joke. I couldn't even walk straight coming back from the bathrooms. About 20 minutes before I arrived in Vegas, I saw these 2 insanely bright beacons on the left side of the road. I guess it powers the city somehow. Very cool stuff. Vegas didn't change too much. I went to Bellagio, Caesars Palace, and MGM Grand, the 3 casinos I always visit. Did I gamble? Not at all. I went there only for the AC and the free parking. After I lost 20 bucks in Vegas 3 years ago, I had made up my mind not to gamble anymore. But it's pretty fun to watch other people do it, because there were a lot of them. I couldn't believe how many people chose to come here during the pandemic. The casinos were, of course, always prepared. They set up some hand washing stations and also provided every guest with free masks. To my surprise, there was even a Japanese theme park inside Bellagio. I saw this enormous and colorful samurai on horseback, Osaka Castle with beautiful cherry blossom. And when I turned my back, I found this monster-sized Hello Kitty in red kimono. I was so impressed that for a split of a second, I thought I was in Japan. The Bellagio fountain was nice, people were sleeping, walking, protesting, but most of them were simply taking pictures and recording random stuff like what I was doing. The next day I started driving at 11 o'clock, had some food and ice cream, and arrived at Williams AZ Hostel 3 hours later. It wasn't a fancy place, but the bed was comfy, the kitchen was clean, and come on, it only cost $15 for one night. The weather was great, so I walked through Williams from one end to the other. It's not a very big town, but it is a very proud one. Williams was named after a frontiersman called Old Bill Williams. The guy was a legend, fluent in many tribal languages, and was killed in an ambush. Not just Old Bill, many of Williams' men served in World War I and World War II. Also, it turned out FDR had been here back in 1932. I wonder how many presidents had done the same. Overall, I think Williams is a very lovely place, full of lovely things, such as those defunct trains, the cow statue, cowboy and bear statue, another cowboy statue. Oh, this one actually moves. And another cowboy mural. Also, in case you don't remember which route you're on, it is Route 66. I met David at the hostel. The guy loved hiking and showed me some awesome trails around Williams. We had lunch together and decided to grab a beer after I finished my presentation. It was online, of course. Anyway, the presentation went really well. David and I walked into a bar. A super nice retired sheriff from Utah bought us whiskey pretty much the moment we walked in. And we were given this golden token that can be used for something I couldn't recall. Apparently, that night was the karaoke night. Many locals showed up and performed full-heartedly.
You may be filled, possess the world, and all its gold. Morning, Amarillo, I'll be there.
I didn't know Williams is this fun. Seriously, who would have thought this was the place that one Google search brought me to? Internet is indeed full of magic. I said hi to many of the locals, if not all, and had such a great time. I even met 2 Japanese who were also on a road trip. One of them, Hiroshi, actually ended up buying me lunch about 2 months later, but that's another story. Anyway, it was a great evening. I was very drunk and very happy. The next day, I drove to the Grand Canyon. It was only 1 hour drive from Williams. I had been to Grand Canyon before, and every time I go there, I am just blown away by the size of it. It makes me feel young and small and powerless. Standing in front of it, I was completely speechless. It's one of those moments that I start to have existential questions. Like, what's the meaning of the universe? How do we measure life? And why do people wear clothes? Just a bunch of dumb questions like that. After 2 hours of sightseeing and intense brainstorming, I started heading back. While I was driving, suddenly a police car showed up behind me. Before I was able to think about it, the siren went off. I pulled over at once and waited for the officer. I had absolutely no idea what would happen. Well, this is probably a good cliffhanger to stop this part of the story at. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to answer them. If you want to help out this channel, please subscribe, comment, or like. All sorts of engagements help, so the YouTube algorithm will recommend this video to more people. I promise the next section of this story will be out as soon as possible. Also, if you wish to get in touch with me, there's always my Instagram at JingWuShow. Thank you very much.